Job interviews are so easy, said no one ever. So back in 2016, I made a career change into UX design from a totally unrelated field. And through interviewing over and over again over the course of time, I came up with a new tactic to prepare for interviews. Now before, I was actually prepared for these interviews by looking up top interview questions and trying to come up with answers for those questions. And what didn't work about that approach is that it was very rigid. Interviews can take many forms. I've gone for an interview at Victoria's Secret and I had no idea it was a group interview. So I was interviewing with like 11 other women. I've been on a panel interview where 4 people were interviewing me all at once. I've done one-on-one interviews. There are interviews that happen in a restaurant. And so like there were all these factors that would throw me off because I was expecting one thing and getting another. Sometimes I would prepare and have a really good answer for a question that I found on the internet. And then during the interview, they wouldn't even ask that question. So I missed out on talking about a really important point about myself. The last straw and the reason why I came up with this new tactic is because this one time on the phone interview, the guy on the other line literally started off a conversation by, "So, what do you want to talk about?" I didn't know how to answer that. So instead of like this question answer, like studying for the questions, I just collect stories about myself. For example, first thing you gotta have is a quick blurb about you. When they ask, "Tell me about yourself," you can give this little blurb. And you shouldn't meander into like all these hobbies and all your entire history. It should be very succinct and relevant to the job that you're trying to get. I also will have my strengths, a story about a weakness and how I overcame that weakness, an example where I've shown initiative, an example where I've shown urgency, an example where I've learned something really fast, an example where I really struggled with my job and how I resolved it, of how I work on a team, how I've handled conflict at a job, an example of when I failed on a project and what I did about it. I know this sounds like a lot, but collecting these stories helps you become much more versatile in interviews. If I were to narrow this list down, I would narrow it down to the about me, what I'm looking for, strengths, the weakness, and 3 job-related accomplishments I'm really proud of. And the reason why I recommend having these stories is that sometimes like certain questions will be worded in different ways. Like these stories are tools in your arsenal to sell yourself. Anyone can say that they're a fast learner, they can say that they're skilled, they can say that they take initiative, but what examples will actually prove that? For example, I say that I'm a fast learner. At one of my jobs, I had to be really proficient at Excel. So in an interview, I would talk about how even though I didn't really have a lot of experience with Excel, through learning on YouTube and through tutorials online, I was able to get to a point where I was making pivot tables and using formulas and doing all this stuff to crank out reports that help our customers make decisions. And I was able to do that in a matter of a couple weeks. Anyone can say that they show initiative, but how do you prove that? So one of my examples might be like, I saw a Nielsen and Norman Group seminar recording online talking about how to optimize a site redesign. I decided to buy it and I watched the whole thing and I condensed everything into notes and distributed it across the team because this was something that the team needed. So again, when you prep for interviews, think about the adjectives you're trying to get across when you're describing yourself. But not only that, come up with examples that illustrate or demonstrate those adjectives. You'll be able to sell yourself a lot better and more effectively if you're able to back it up. And if you can't back it up, so these are skills that you can work on improving or building. Anyways, hope this has been helpful. I have a whole 4-part series on how I was able to make the transition into UX without having an HCI degree, without any formal experience, and also without any contacts in the industry. Check that out at the link below. And if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.